Reusse Unchained here. Declan's out in St. Louis here, so I'm going to try to make sure that we get this recorded and we don't crash the podcast playing here today. So, Twins made a valiant effort. They tried to come back yesterday. They fell into a 4-0 hole, and now the season's over. Pat, your thoughts?
It is amazing how openers seem to carry a lot of clout with people when they really don't mean that much. But uh, who was our hero of the game? Harrison Bader, right? Did he have 3 hits? Did I see he had hit a home run
Home
and
run
He
and
had the
double.
hits?
home run. Yeah,
Yeah,
he
that
did
Late double.
Harrison
three
Bader
hits,
things.
eighth, but everybody else, the top of the order there, the Correa, Buxton, and Matt Wallner, our new leadoff hitter. I saw they were 0 for 12, so that wasn't the whole line. I'm not into the Wallner leading off thing. I don't see it, but they think he's going to get on base a lot. I guess his track record says he walks. Well, he swung at the first pitch yesterday, the first guy, and went out. I just don't see him as a leadoff hitter, but I don't know. I just don't really. I think the pitching will be okay, but I don't like the lineup. I just don't like the lineup. So
You know,
maybe.
I blame. Well, the rain delay for one just throws y'all off. But
Oh
number
yeah.
two, I blame the 5-hour Cardinals pregame procession where
Oh
they
really?
literally found every living Cardinal in the history of
Oh
the
really?
franchise, brought them all back, individually driving them around the warning track in trucks. And then I think they had every player on the current roster arrive in a truck.
Yes, and
Boy,
I heard something on the broadcast. Of course, inside info from Atterbury, he had it all down. Is that they had them like crowded under the stadium in this claustrophobic area, and all the players are going to play the game are in there going, this crowded area. But hey, they with everybody being mad, they had a 47,000, 2,000 overcapacity for opening day in St. Louis. So they do have an unfamiliar lineup, though. Man alive, who are these guys?
It's
Marcin,
like it's
Wynn, and
Nolan
guys like
Arenado
that.
and a bunch of
yeah.
bunch of
Yes,
dudes. You know.
yes. But I did not get to see it. I was in the vehicle, and Pablo looked not good, huh? Pablo was not sharp.
He was shaky. He was definitely shaky. And the balk and then they stole second on him in the second when he tried to step off and rifled the ball wide of Correa into the outfield was not good.
Yeah, it did not sound great, and I don't know. He gets in his roles. He pitches pretty good 5 or 6 games in a row, but he was when they went in the tank down the stretch. He contributed to that too. He didn't really pitch any gems down there. He wasn't quite as good the second half. So
The other
I
big
mean, he's
thing
he's okay, but I don't. I like Bailey Ober better than him right now.
the other big thing that was noticeable, if you remember, and I'm a Ty France guy,
Oh
Seattle for
yeah.
2 years. I got to watch peak Ty France there for a couple years,
Hmm.
but and I remain a Ty France guy. But I think he was talking to reporters a few weeks ago in spring training, saying he didn't really understand why the advanced metrics didn't like his defense at first base.
Hmm.
Well, I think we saw yesterday why, whether it's advanced metrics or whether it's old school scouting eye test, Willie Castro at second base
Oh
and
man,
Ty France at first base have the
not
combined
good.
range of a potted plant.
That's rough.
And the backup at both positions is Eddie Julian, who makes them both, who makes them both look like
Keith Hernandez and
superstars.
Bill Mazurowski.
Yes, right. That's right. So I yeah, I did not get to see that, but I heard that it wasn't too good. How was he considered as a fielder out there in Seattle? Okay,
I
or
mean,
not?
I don't think he was considered a bad first base. He's one of those guys. The Twins have had outfielders like this, the Kubels, the Kadyers, where if the ball's hit to him, I think he's generally fine. He had a couple nice scoops in that game yesterday. But it's when those guys, they don't realize that if you dive for a ball that a Doug Minkiewicz 20 years ago would have
Yeah.
walked behind and scooped it, like
Yes.
that still counts as, it's not an error, but it definitely still counts as the other team getting a guy on base.
What
So,
drove me the craziest about Miranda 2 years ago was when he'd run over and dive in front of the
Yeah.
second baseman who was sitting ready to
yeah.
catch a four hopper and had no idea. But yeah, it's not. I see Carlos, by the way, was hitting fourth for Cleveland yesterday. They had him hitting fourth. Now, we might have found out why they traded Naylor, though, huh? This guy they got from Tampa, what's his name? He had the huge day for them yesterday, left-handed hitter, and he's their new first baseman there. But I don't know. Opening day, we always react, but Griffin Jacks giving up a home run was the what?
Yeah.
We don't want that. We don't want to see that. For
A
goodness'
lot of pitches
sakes.
too. A
He
lot of
was
pitches for Griffin Jacks.
he was their MVP last year, in my opinion. So
I knew that the Twins might be in trouble at second base. I think it was the bottom of the first when the Cardinals got their first run on a base hit on a ball that was hit to second base, and Carlos Correa tried to make the play, basically cutting Castro off because he clearly had seen him play second base.
Yeah.
And he deflected the ball, but it's like, what are you doing? And then I saw Castro play, and I'm like, oh, you don't trust your buddy.
So I got a proposition for you guys. Now, St. Louis is supposed to be gorgeous day today, but they're not playing, right? And then they're supposed to be wet all weekend. They might get rained out twice. What do you think if we adopt a policy? Hey, the weather's going to be good today. All you people who want to come to the game, come to the game. If not, we'll give you your ticket back. But
Yes.
let's play today. Come on.
Let's build the day in forward and backwards.
Backwards. That's
Wow.
right.
If you buy the Saturday ticket, just know
Yes.
that it's a flex ticket. We might move
Yes.
that game up a day, so get to town early if you're coming in.
Because anytime you could play, remember the Twins when they opened real early here, they didn't. They moved the opening. Remember they moved the opening back to Friday. The next day it was 27, and
Yeah.
they played. I think you should in this schedule that they have now, where you play every team home and away. You got to get the games in when you can. You can't have two rainouts in St. Louis on the opening weekend and have to go back there in August and on an off day and play a doubleheader or something. So I say, You're right. Flex. This is flex, baby. You might be here Friday. So,
Call Manfred, Pat.
And you'll know on
yeah.
Wednesday. Like you'll know when
Sure.
you get the 3-day forecast on
And
Wednesday.
if you can use your ticket some other time during the year if you don't like it. Let's be more innovative here. What
You
else
also
did-
when you were in the car, you also missed the grand debut of Twins.tv, the first historic broadcast of Twins TV, and they had the pre-recorded intro montage for 2 minutes with Bob Costas narrating the Cleveland Guardians' history of television broadcast. They put the wrong intro on the
We
beginning.
hit a wrong button. Who doesn't it happen to?
Oh, really? They gave us the Cleveland.
They routed the
Guardians?
wrong package to us.
I heard that the production was pretty good though. Once they got their stuff going on, did you
It
tell
was.
me that, Judd? They did a fairly good job with it.
And Perk and Morney. Perk was great in the they had Perk in there for a while, 3-man booth.
Perk is
awesome.
We all love Morney as a human being, but he can explain something. He can't get to the end of the sentence.
But-
he's got to keep explaining. Perk's the best they got on the radio and TV, I think.
But with Perk, it's great, Pat, because it creates a conversation then. And I'm going to break news here, but it's amazing what happens when a play-by-play guy asks questions and
Yes.
lays out to allow his analyst to talk. You have a real conversation.
Yeah, I think I listened to the. So I got to tell you, I'm going to the Wild game yesterday, and I told Judd this. I decided to take Shepherd Road and come in the back, and this train comes chugging down the track there, 20 minutes. It had to be 200 cars deep, and it was going So I had a lot of time to listen on the radio, and glad he got 2 sentences in, maybe the first inning, and he does not. Chris does not call on Gladdy nearly often enough to engage in the conversation. That's for sure.
Yeah.
And but Perk is he got weaned at 1,500, didn't he? We turned him into a broadcaster, and he's
Phil was
pretty
like
good.
his mentor.
Yes.
It's been a couple of years since we've hung, but he was one of our best In how long was 1500 ESPN? It was like an 8-year run of the
Yes.
brand 1500 ESPN. He was one of the 3 to 5 best guesser contributors in the 8 or 9-year run, I would
And
say.
he got better and better and better, and he's really good now. He's you know, I when he's in the TV booth, I'm more likely to listen with the sound. Well, Provis, I'm fine with Provis anyway.
Yeah,
He's
there
great.
was a management decision during one of the years where he was recovering from Tommy John surgery
Mhm.
and therefore not going to be really a part of the team as much. And so Judd and I were overruled. Management wanted someone in the clubhouse, and I think you helped facilitate this too. We wound up with our guy. What was that guy's
Hector
name? That Hector
Santiago,
Yeah,
Santiago.
yeah.
because the guy we had, who do we have lined up, and he got hurt?
Trevor May, which would have been a
Trevor May.
great one.
He would have been awesome.
And he
Trevor
came
May
on once, and that was it.
didn't get out of training camp. Yeah, so
Correct.
I said, and Hector had given some people some good quotes, like in spring training, but I never took into account that he couldn't get anybody out, so
Oh
it was
man.
he finally just stopped calling, right?
He did. He took.
Yes.
By the way,
Yes.
what happens is those guys basically get a check for the season up
Yes, and
front,
then they do
and by
whatever
about
they want.
July, he's like, I lose my number.
Yeah. Well, it was hard to top the third baseman. Who's it? Who
Danny Valencia.
Valencia was great. Until he wasn't playing, he got mad, but he was apt to say anything. He was apt to be anywhere. We didn't know where the hell
You
he
guys
was.
had some great guests.
Vasante Shenko,
Yeah.
Khan came
Darren
on.
Sharper.
Darren Sharper. Like, if you think about the short time that show had these inflammatory remarks made by
Yes.
various guests.
Well, Chianco we were interviewing him one day when he was getting a massage. Remember that?
He was literally getting, it was like elbows in his backs.
And I don't want to be tacky here, but by all accounts, he needed a large towel too. So
Look, actually, that's known, Pat. That was seen on national
that's public
television.
domain.
Yeah,
Public domain.
you're not being tacky. You're being accurate.
And yeah, that was great, of course. And we don't like to talk about our exclusive interviews with Darren Sharper either.
No. Adam Schefter was another one. We had like newly minted ESPN Adam Schefter in 2010.
And he started
and he always
us off too, right?
he always seemed a little distant during the interviews.
Yes.
And I remember, and it was the early days of Twitter. And so we would pop open Twitter during the show, and you could see he'd fire off like 3 tweets during the interview.
Talking to us. Yeah.
Be like breaking news. Oh
Hey,
man.
we made Herm famous as an announcer too.
Yep.
Herm was fantastic. Herm had Mrs. Herm, man. She took care of the money, and you looked at that phone, and 1 minute before he was supposed to call every day, every time he called, it was always there. Herm was very reliable and great.
Yep. Also, didn't Herm help develop Jaden Daniels at Arizona State
yeah.
before he
coached
went
him.
to LSU, right?
I think
coach
he
him.
did. Yeah. What got him fired down there? There was he was doing stuff that would now be legal, I think, there as far as getting some players.
It was recruiting stuff, I think, for sure.
Yeah, it was recruiting stuff. So, yeah, it's. Did you see the guy from the Tennessee fired? That Jeremy Pruitt is suing Tennessee and the NCAA for tens of millions because he got fired down there for what everybody else is doing now. He said, I'm the last guy to be penalized for recruiting violations.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
he's, meanwhile, Judd and I were at a Raucous hockey game last night. Man alive, we think the fans are disappointed with this team. A couple of weeks ago, they booed them off the ice. Last night, 19,100, 1,000 over capacity. How can you afford to take your little brats to the game? Down there in good seats. There's like
The Chris
mom,
Long
dad, and
family
mom,
was there,
dad,
Pat.
3,
Wow.
4-year-olds,
Chris Long and family at the game last night.
Hoping for 6 OV goals last night.
And a big
Yeah.
Capitals win, which he did not get.
But I mean, it's incredible. These families just keep coming. This is a Thursday night. This isn't like I've seen it on Saturday afternoons late in the year, when they have the matinees and everybody's got 2 kids. But last night it was just I went down to see my grandkids, and that corridor was hand-to-hand combat to get back up.
That's why they want.
after the
That's why they
first
want more
period.
room, Pat. That's why they need your
That's
millions of
that's
dollars to
right.
get more room.
What are we asking
700.
for? 150 million? What's
Oh
No,
the
God, no.
three something.
No, I
three?
thought
It's
no
total of 7+,
7 plus, and they'll pay half.
and they'll pay
But I
half.
think they're throwing out a huge number to if they get
Well,
half of the half, they'll be
you
happy.
saw the problem though, Pat.
Yeah.
Firsthand, hand-to-hand combat.
Well, the same thing at the new Ziggy Dome. When I was, they they keep putting these stands in the corridors, the concession stands in the
Yeah.
corridors, and then they can't figure out why nobody can walk through the corridor. Because you got a big stand where you're supposed to have people. That's why, you know. By the way, but it's odd. Like they have a cookie dough stand down there. Talk about hand-to-hand combat. People fighting for cookie dough. What the hell is going on
Cookie dough's
here?
good, Pat.
It is good. Is it just
Uh,
like the raw cookie dough, or
I
are they?
think I don't know, but they were lined up, man. It was, but people just having a good old time. It's
Meanwhile, there
amazing.
was also another hockey game last
Uh,
night that took
Oh
place.
my goodness, yeah.
Stop.
3-1, they're leading, and gave up 2 quickies, right? And then got 3 quickies. They got behind 4 to
It
3. Snuggy tied it, but
Yeah. It
that's a
it
bad
was a
loss.
bizarre game. So the tying goal, which was quick, so it was 2-1, 2-2. But one of the tying goal was scored when the Gopher goaltender Soulier had
Oh
some type of
yeah,
equipment problem, and he went to the bench to get it fixed. And the official said, "You have to put a new goaltender in, or he has to come back in." So they go to fix it. They put
but
the
he
poor
but he
back.
couldn't play with the equipment. But he couldn't play with the equipment
But
problem he was having. Right, that was
yes,
illegal too.
but they wouldn't give him time to get it fixed, and so they put the backup in, who immediately gives up a goal.
5 seconds,
Airy,
I read
yeah,
five
Nathan Airy,
seconds today.
poor kid.
Yeah, yeah. That tied it, right? That
That tied
tied
it.
it.
Then they went ahead, and then Snuggy tied it, and then they
Yeah.
lost in
Well,
overtime.
that's a bad loss for Coach Motzko there. Oof. And he was mad that I watched the replay, ESPN. They said he gets tripped. There's no call, and then UMass scores the winner. So
It's an accumulation of bad defeats for Bob in big games, more so than one in
yes,
particular, I think.
yes, yeah. I don't know what the strategy was this time, but the strategy in the Quinnipiac game
It
where
was the same,
they
Pat.
tried to hold on, were trying
Same
to hold
strategy.
on to really.
Same strategy.
Okay.
Prevent defense.
Yeah, maybe that ain't the way to go. So,
Yeah.
but you know what this did? It saved me a drive to Fargo and back. I was gonna go Saturday, so
That's the
that
that's the key right
It's the
there.
dedication of the Star Tribune right there. Everyone at the
yes.
Star Tribune's just like Pat, too. They're
Totally would
always
have
got.
spent that travel budget right
Hey,
there. Yep.
RJ did a hell of a job up there, though, man. He covered
Always
both
good.
games. He had a good advance. He had all kinds of stuff
And he
before.
he had to ask Bob post game all the tough questions.
Nobody else there, right?
There was
Pat?
somebody else, but they didn't get
Nobody
involved
from
in the tough
Minnesota.
questions.
Okay, well, yeah, that's a terrible loss. But I think if you want a ticket up in Fargo for tomorrow's game, UMass against Western Michigan, I think you can probably get in, don't you? With
Yeah.
Yeah.
No Mankato, and no Gophers. I got a hunch tickets are available.
That's
So
brutal. Yeah, they figure at least one of those teams will get
one of
there,
those
right? And
teams,
then we can get some Minnesota fans.
they
No.
both lose in overtime. So
Yep. So,
oh
all right,
well.
Pat, enjoy your weekend, and we'll see if the Twins are 3 games behind the White Sox on Monday
All
or not.
right. See you later. Good
All right,
night.
there he is,
Hey, the
Reusse.
Whiteys, by the way, this is the first time they've been over 500 in about 6 years. So,
That's great.
okay. See you
Big
later.
turnaround. That's right. The
Bye.
Ishbia factor could have had
Yep.
him.
Yep. Right.